Every training camp opens around my birthday, end of July, and I've all my life gotten really excited because I've loved football like all my life. I think I was 7 when I really got into it. After wrestling was the first, but I grew out of wrestling when I was 8 years old. I cannot believe this is like a metaphor for politics now. Anyway, I loved football so much. I would cry when my team lost. I didn't cry that much because Sandusky High School, the first thing you root for as a northern Ohio person, Sandusky High School won a lot, and Ohio State Buckeyes obviously were a football power and continue to be a football power. But I had the Cleveland Browns, and the Cleveland Browns sucked. They sucked. I think when I was born, the year before I was born, they won the championship, and they didn't win anything since. And so they become, for those of you who don't follow sports closely, a symbol for sports futility. And I'd cry when they lost. You know, they lost so much, and then they got good, and they were just teasingly good. The greatest Cleveland Browns team was the Cardiac Kids. I think the breakthrough year was 1980, maybe 1979, and I was 12 or 13 years old, and they were the Cardiac Kids because they would lose games and win things at the end. You just didn't know how it was going to go. Football's a lot more wide open now, but for back then it was pretty exciting stuff. They would lose in the last 2 minutes. They went 9-7. I think that's how many games they played. Back then, you know, they were just barely in the playoffs, or maybe they didn't even make the playoffs, but they were winning for the first time, like a game above that. And then the next year they became really good. And then they made the playoffs at 11-5, and they had the Bernie Kosar years. They would always get close and find a way to lose in the most heartbreaking way. I've explained to my kids that they're very lucky to grow up in a milieu where the teams are good. And I was telling Forrest the other day, as I was giving this shtick to him, he said he likes the Clippers. I said, you like the Clippers ironically. There's a difference between liking the Clippers like that and being sentenced to the Cleveland Browns. They never let me down again. I never let them hurt me again. After 1996, I think. It was 1996. I opened up the paper one day. I think I wrote about this, so you probably know it. But 1996, I opened up the paper. I was living in West Hollywood, like 28 years old, no, 29 years old. And I saw that the Browns were moving unexpectedly without any warning and going to Baltimore. The Baltimore Ravens you have there are the former Cleveland Browns. And in fact, the general manager that helped that organization get good was Ozzie Newsome, tight end on those spectacular-ish Cleveland Browns Cardiac Kids of the early 80s. So when they left, that morning I cried. That was the last time I cried for the Cleveland Browns. And I think about my friends on Facebook who every year have hope. They think that the Browns have a chance to win, and they're not winning shit. And sometimes I tell them, and they're not really trying to hear it. And I understand that because the NFL is in the business of selling hope. All of these teams, not just them, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, unless Tom Brady comes, or Chicago. Chicago could be, these are bad examples that I'm coming up here, but they're selling you hope, and only occasionally is a team really going to get in the Super Bowl or into the playoffs even. It's the same teams most of the time. And I tell my kids, yeah, you're very lucky that you don't have to deal with this sort of hopelessness. But the fact is, I don't have that this year. I feel a little bit estranged. I feel estranged from sports. And yeah, it's the facts of the world that are making it feel this way. I can't help but see the slaveholder behavior in the Dallas Cowboys owner, clowning their star player, their star defensive end, game-changing Hall of Famer, and making him beg for a contract. You don't see that in Hollywood just so much, maybe in the music industry. But no, the agendas and all that have turned me off, and obviously what's happened with the Los Angeles Dodgers and their complicity in ICE kidnappings has turned me off of sports. I think maybe we're at the point now where all the lessons and metaphors you're supposed to draw from sports now are corrupted, and we're really going to have to take a look at why we follow things, why we make heroes out of certain people. And maybe there's a paradigm shift. Everything is changing so much in this world. It's so unprecedented every single day that, the way we trade around the world is completely different than it's been in any of our lifetimes. It makes sense that we can make adjustments on a cultural level in terms of deciding who a warrior is and who a hero is, what a heroine looks like, and I'm ready for this change.